Hey, everybody, it's Tony George along with Griffin Murphy from DocSports.com. This is the Gridiron six-pack, 3 college and 3 NFL free picks for you here this weekend. Griff, my man, how you doing? I know you're fired up for the Major League Baseball playoffs, but football on deck, NBA, NHL around the corner, a glorious time of the year to be alive.
Absolutely, Tony. I'm living good, man. I'm happy over here. You know, on the Gridiron six-pack, I have to say, college football has been kind of going a little bit south for me, so it's definitely time to pick it up. I'm 9-4 on the season over at the website with Doc, so it's time to implement that type of talent into this show right now. So I've done some deep research here for these matchups, and I'm looking to pick up some winners for the show here, Tony.
Yeah, we are batting 500 for the year on the show. Now, if we're batting 500 Major League Baseball, we're making $25 million a year.
Yep.
That batting 500 on a sports betting show, that $8 won't even get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. So we got to step it up a little bit. We're 12% down over our last 2-year average of 62%. Mm-hmm. Plenty of time here to get it going for you. My college football has sucked this season. NFL hasn't. It's kicking ass and taking names. I'm going to correct that this weekend. Tell you how I'm going to do that later over at the website, Doc Sports, free $60. You see the link above our heads there. That's where you get a free $60. And we will give you a profit guarantee with that as well. Mm-hmm. So be sure, if you've never been a member, use that link, park it in any new account. Zero hassles. We don't have a promo code for the show today. I forgot to do that. We were given 10% off, but this is a weekend you want to go over and get some winners. And maybe we'll put a promo code in the comments section below the video. We'll get a promo code, and it'll be 10% off any package that Griff and I have in football. Whether it's a weekend package, a monthly package, or a season pass, we'll get a promo code, and I will put it static in the comments section. So when you go to the website, you can fill in the promo code box when you pull up one of the packages, and it'll automatically take 10% off. So sorry about that. I've been busy. I got WNBA playoffs. I got Major League Baseball playoffs. I got to cap all these games for a Thursday release, getting ready for the NBA, getting ready for the NHL. Griffin, as you know, people think they put their picks out at 10 in the morning and they go play golf and nap all day.
Dude, this is so far from it. So far from it.
Oh,
Tony,
man.
I finally got some sleep last night. I was on about a 38-hour bender. Finally fell asleep. I got about 10 hours yesterday. So for those of you who don't think we don't work, we don't just put these plays in. I've been studying NBA out the ass for the past month, getting ready for the season. NHL now, where you can't even pronounce half of these guys' last names, trying to put this all together nonstop. But we're locked in here. WNBA playoffs. We're in the finals now. MLB playoffs rolling around. And as always, we've got NFL and college football, Tony.
Yeah, after doing all that work, then we got to sit around and sweat out and watch games. That's the other thing. It's never ending. And this weekend, let's get to it. Mountain West college football action. Now, we've been giving you a lot of premier marquee games. And as we mentioned on Doc's Daily on Tuesday, I'm on every Tuesday with Griffin, noon Central. Tune in. We have it noon Central every day is Doc's Daily. I think you do that on Saturdays too.
Saturday as well, 10 a.m. Central.
With the man Detroit Lenny, who is in an absolute tailspin, and his Tigers are going to be in a knockdown drag out here against Cleveland. They did get the win the opening day. Scooball had to strike out 14 to get there, but, you know, it is what it is. But nonetheless, we're going to go with some kind of non-marquee games.
Sure.
And one of them is Colorado State at San Diego State, and Mountain West Clash, a conference that I follow. You wouldn't think I followed it after last week's top pick on Air Force took a dump. I was wrong about those guys. Even with that new Zarka at quarterback, they couldn't stop anybody with a shopping cart. at Costco on defense, but nonetheless, Colorado State not having a good year. Usually a pretty good football program, Griff.
Yeah.
The Golden Rams. The San Diego State, the Aztecs left for dead on the side of the road like old Shep at the beginning of the season. They were supposed to have a bad year. They come out as a double-digit underdog and beat Cal 34-0 2 weeks ago. Now, last week, they went on the road and laid an egg at Northern Illinois. They were only a 2.5-point favorite, so actually they covered that number, much like what UNLV did, another Mountain West team, when they went on the road and played a MAC team. I think it was Miami of Ohio or somebody, or no, it was somebody else. I forgot who it was. But nonetheless, Colorado State managed 3 points against Washington State last week. They haven't scored more than 21 points all season long. And this is an interesting matchup, total 40.5, and the Aztecs hanging 5.5 at home here.
Yeah, Tony, very interesting line as well as very interesting total in this matchup. But I will say both of these teams, they come into this matchup, both of them have been battle tested one time. Obviously, San Diego State with that 34-0 blowout over Cal, that was huge for them. And then you have Colorado State. They got battle tested to open up their season against Washington, which they actually were pretty competitive in that matchup. I have to say, Colorado State, they've got a pretty good defense. Their secondary is solid. They've got good linebackers, very disciplined. They just have issues on that defensive line stopping the run game. This is a make or break game for me in Colorado State sequence. They're coming off an 8-5 season, and Jay Norvell, he's a very solid head coach in my eyes. Been there since the 2021 season. He coached with your Cornhuskers, UCLA, and Oklahoma, and he's been in the NFL. So the guy's got a resume. Yeah. San Diego State coming off that 6-3 win over Northern in their most recent matchup. That immediately, to me, Tony, pulls out the trap incentive. On a metric standpoint, you can look at San Diego State's defense, and you look at those numbers, and they look like they are the absolute best defense in the entire nation. Well, as I mentioned, they've only been battle-tested one time this season. For Colorado State, they've proven they can put up points offensively against anybody this season. So now we have a total sitting at 40.5 points, the spread ranging between 5.5 to 6.5 points. San Diego State, they've allowed 3 points in their last 2 games. Colorado State, they've scored 19 points in their last 2 games. So why in the hell do we have a total sitting at 4.5? I'm flipping the script on this. The public handle is all over the under in this matchup. Give me the over. I believe both of these young quarterbacks are going to let it rip in this game. As I mentioned, this is a make or break game for Colorado State. And when you're usually in those sequences, that's when your head coach and your OC says, all right, let's pull the cord off of this kid and let it rip. I see that happening in this matchup. So again, Tony, I am on the over 40.5 points in this matchup as a public fade. But let's shift gears here over to the Big Ten. We got a big one here. We've got Michigan State rolling into Nebraska to play your Cornhuskers. Cornhuskers laying 11 points in this matchup, total sitting at 49. Michigan State coming off a bye week as well as Nebraska coming off a bye week after a 27-30 loss to Michigan back on the 20th. I will say, Tony, Nebraska has looked very good this season, and Michigan State, they continue to stay competitive. What's your take in this one?
Well, the 11 points, I'm not comfortable laying 11 with Nebraska against anybody. This is my alma mater. We all know that. I love me some Huskers. I went up and enjoyed the Michigan game. But the one thing, while enjoying being in Lincoln, I didn't enjoy the game, so to speak, because Michigan was falling forward for 8 yards a carry. And they weren't even disguising it against Nebraska's defense. But, hey, we're running up the A-gap. We dare you to stop us. No, we'll just run for 248 yards right down your throat in Lincoln, and they were helpless to stop them. I think they'll have better success. The one thing about Nebraska is, you know who the number 1 pass defense team in the country is in yards allowed? The Nebraska Cornhuskers. They're allowing 74 yards a game. They got a good pass rush with their defensive line, a good push, and they blitz a lot. They can't stop anybody running the football. And that's exactly what Michigan State's going to have to do in order to be successful. They're putting up 154 yards a game on the ground. The total of 49 intrigues me. It's off a bye week. Neither one's going to be sharp offensively. Off a bye week. I'm going to play the under 49 in this game. Nebraska is 110th versus the run, and Michigan State can run it 154 yards a game, they're not going to be able to pass it. So you're going to see a lot of kind of a ground attack. And from Nebraska, when they get their ground game going, Raiola looks really good in play action passing. But you saw the offensive line problems for Nebraska against Michigan, allowing 7 sacks. And even when he didn't get sacked, that boy was on the run, trying to get rid of the ball and throw it. For whatever reason, although Dana Holgerson is their offensive coordinator, they have trouble getting receivers open early on routes. For whatever reason that is, and Raiola just does not have a lot of time. I think this is a good old-fashioned lower scoring game, which would bring points into play. And Michigan State did give USC all they wanted in their last game. They put up 31 points there, but you saw USC's defense on display last week against Illinois too. So I think this is going to be a lower scoring Big Ten smash mouth type football game. Give me the under 49, as it seems to be an all totals theme here in college football as we move forward into the Big 12. And Griff and I have a phone call once or twice a week. We talk. We visit about our games, and we always have a conversation about what we like to call which one's the weasel in the woodpile this week.
Yep.
We got one in the NFL and the Saints and New York Giants game, kinda. Maybe the Houston Baltimore game. And in college, this was the one we brought up earlier this week. Yep. Cincinnati over an Iowa State team that's looked good, over an Iowa State team that got to the Big 12 championship game last week and had Scabeto and Arizona State on the ropes in that game, and probably should have won that game. And they haven't shown any signs of slowing down with Beck, the quarterback, who's really good. Now, I know that Griffin, he got expelled from Iowa State when he was a freshman, but you spent a year there. We know how tough they are at Jack Trice Stadium. This is a road game against Cincinnati. They're laying one, total 54.5. And Cincinnati coming off a very impressive win last week against Kansas. Now, Kansas is sneaky good. They'd beaten people up 118-24 by a combined score total in Lawrence this year before Cincy went in there, kind of a higher scoring game, and stuck it to them. Daniels still had a big day for Kansas. Wasn't enough to overcome Cincy. Many would argue also that Cincy had every opportunity to beat Nebraska, a game that I was at in Arrowhead, to open up the season, and I would tend to agree with them. Cincinnati had chances in that game against Nebraska. The problem is Raiola threw all over them. 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, had a 70-some% completion rate. They couldn't get after the quarterback because we all know how weak Nebraska's line is. This is an interesting game, Griffin, from a lot of different angles.
Yeah, Tony, this one is very interesting. I mean, obviously, Cyclones coming into this game, perfect 5-0, and we've got to pick a matchup. And for this Cyclones team, they've proven dominance. And when I say dominance, I mean this. They beat the living hell out of bad teams, and they win against good teams. And that is what you have to do to be a top contender in college football, and that's what sticks out. I'm very high on Rocco Beck this season. He's got a 65% completion rating, and he's got over 1,000 yards in the air with 7 touchdowns. I'm concerned with 2 things here, though. Cincinnati, they have a very good defensive line. Their defensive interior is strong. And Iowa State, if they can't establish the run game, it's going to be a very tough day for Rocco Beck to get this offense going. He lives and thrives off of the run. When the run is working for Iowa State, Rocco Beck is in tune. When the run is not working, it kind of becomes a mess, and that's where defense takes over for Iowa State. Looking at a game like this, you have a line -1 Cincinnati, as we mentioned. That is giving us a telltale sign here. I am not one to jump in front of a team that's undefeated at 5-0 on the season. And then we have this total sitting at 54.5 points. That tells us there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. But the way that I'm looking at this, I believe it's going to be a drag-out slugfest type of game, run versus run. I like the under 54.5 points in this matchup. If Cincinnati wins this game, it's because their defense locked down this Iowa State offense. If Iowa State wins this game, it's because their offense thrived. They were able to establish the run game and pass. I lean Cincinnati here based on the number, but my pick here, give me the under 54.5 total points as my value play in this one, Tony. But let's shift gears on over to the NFL. We've got Tennessee rolling into Arizona. Arizona laying 8, total sitting at 41.5. Tennessee coming off winless season still, 0-4 on the year. They got rinsed last week in a 26-0 blowout to Houston. Now heading to Arizona. Connor's out. And I do want to ask you, Tony, with Kyler Murray at the quarterback spot, he's kind of a liability. I'm very interested to hear your take on this one after last week's performance.
This is damned if you do and damned if you don't. We're going to continue with the total theme here as I like the under in this game. Man, that's that's 4 totals place. We don't script this ahead of time, folks. I give Griff his 3 games and we don't know what we're talking about here until we come on the show. We like you to give you that initial reaction, but Tennessee has cemented themselves as the worst team in the NFL. I don't think there's any doubt. And we have a rookie quarterback on the road who hasn't performed well, who a lot of Tennessee's problems, Callahan is just like his old man. He's a bad head coach. Now, I got a bad taste in my mouth for Bill Callahan when he ran Nebraska into the ground, when he was coaching there. And of course, he had Cincinnati's head coach his first year as quarterback at Nebraska, Taylor. We went from a Frank Solich running football program to we're going to throw the ball 55 times a game overnight with no personnel in-house to do it. That's a Callahan move. Okay, his son's not doing any better. The offensive line has got holes in it like Swiss cheese. They can't run the ball. They can't throw it. They can't do anything. And then again, are you ready to lay 8 points with Arizona? Are they ready for this? Opened up at 9. It's dropped right now. It was 8.5. And then here on Wednesday. And by the way, these are Wednesday lines, folks. We're taping this Wednesday. 41.5 though. I mean, Arizona has only allowed 7 touchdowns all year long. And by the way, Tennessee's only scored 3. Now, I don't mind the backup running back for Houston, but he's not Connor at all. Benson, that's his name. Murray's, I worry about his accuracy. Big time. He's actually better throwing on the run than he is being in the pocket, because usually when he's on the run, the receivers are able to break contain on tight coverage because he's running around and they get a little bit more open and he's able to get the ball to him even if it's not right on the money. We're not talking, like a Mahomes or a Herbert or some of these, elite quarterbacks, Goff, Stafford, these type of guys that will put the ball on the money. They'll throw, they can ball, they can throw it. Yeah. Murray can't. I can't lay 8 points team like that. I don't see a lot of scoring out of Tennessee. You might want to take a look at maybe Tennessee's team total and play the under. Is probably less than 8. I don't know how they're going to score, honestly. They got a lot of bad coaching, and I thought maybe McDaniel will be the first one to go at Miami this year. Now that Tyreek Hill's out, he might still, but it might be Callahan first gone. It very well could be, so it's going to be interesting nonetheless, but I don't think anybody sees a track meet here. Punch, counter punch, punch, counter punch. It's not going to happen. If anything, Tennessee, take a look at their field goal kicker. Maybe he gets a couple of kicks and it's in a dome, so he might not miss them. No weather's going to affect it. So, and all those field goal kicker props are 1.5 over under 1.5. You get a decent money line, 130 or under. You might want to take a look at that. Speaking of props, by the way, quick announcement. I'm launching the Doc Sports NFL Prop Madness show this Friday with Nick Menken, a buddy of Griff's. And we're going to be doing giving away 4 or 5 props on about a 15-minute show. Get you geared up for Sunday for the weekend. So tune in to the YouTube channel here on Friday, the Doc Sports NFL Props Madness show. This Friday. Everybody loves some props. And as I switch gears and kick this to Griff, we're going to talk about Houston and Baltimore. But Griffin, my first look at the NFL slate this weekend, it's a tough one.
Yeah. This
is a very, very difficult weekend in the NFL. And I'm talking about a guy that's hit 8 out of his last 10.
Sure.
I'm telling you, I don't know how I'm going to come up with 5 picks in the Circa Millions contest, because you got to give them 5 picks against the spread. You can't use totals. I can't find more than 3 hardly that you always want to feel confident when you're more than 3 picks on a Sunday is almost too many for anybody. I don't care who you're using, what you're seeing on these podcasts, these 25-year-olds coming out of the woodwork, they're world champion handicappers, and they know it all of a sudden. They don't know shit. But what I'm saying is, there's not 5 games worth picking this weekend. Now that you throw in some totals, you can find 3 or 4 that, you feel confident in. This is a very difficult board this weekend, Griffin.
Yeah, Tony, I agree with you. But you know me, I always look for those backdoor trap lines. So for me, I'm looking at this weekend a little bit differently. I always stick to my 2 plays per day, usually on NFL. I swept last Sunday with 2 plays, and my appetites actually opened up a little bit. I'm looking at 4 plays for this Sunday right now. So obviously we all have our own ways of handicapping games. We all see the markets differently. I'm opening up a little bit this weekend. So for me, it's a little different, but a game that we got coming up right now, this is a deceiving one for sure, Tony.
Yeah, we're talking about Houston at Baltimore, and Baltimore is at home against Houston, who finally got off the schneid last week and acted like they had an offense. They have offensively just been absolutely anemic this year, and I don't know how much of a boost of confidence I have in them because it was Tennessee and they were at home. Right. Okay, and when you keep handing your defense, in Tennessee's case, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and you're on the road, sooner or later, the talent with Stroud and some of the guys he's got there in the backfield and that wide receiver, they're going to nip you. And they got beat 26-0. Now, Baltimore is a triage unit right now. They have 7 starters listed as out for this game, including Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
I think Cooper Rush is their backup quarterback, who has a lot of experience and played well for Dallas. He got a lot of playing time for Dallas because he was backing up, Dak Prescott, who gets he's another one of those Christoph Porzingis quarterbacks of the NFL, like Joe Burrow. When the wind blows, he's hurt. So he's got a lot of reps and snaps as a starter in the NFL. Is it a huge drop-off? Yes, it is. Now, Houston, and it's going to be tough going for him here, because Houston, despite their record and despite the disappointment they've been on offense, they have the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL to this point. Now, playing Houston when they don't score any points, that helps you that skews your numbers a little bit.
Of course.
2.5-point underdog at home off an ass kicking right there. My boys put it to them. Knocked out 4 starters last week. You want to get physical with us? Come on up to Arrowhead. Right there, baby. We'll put you out of the game. No problem. Come on up here and mess with us. Well, we're pissed off. Watch out, Jacksonville on Monday, goddammit. But anyway, we got the Ravens plus 2.5, total 40.5. Griff, how do you see it?
Yeah, Tony, I will say, going back to last week's performance, I will say caps off to the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, when they wanted to pipe them, they absolutely piped them rolling into this game. So obviously we mentioned, as you mentioned, 7 starters out for this Ravens team, Lamar and Roquan, 2 key guys that are both listed as doubtful with hamstring injuries. Houston, they finally picked up that win they needed last week against the worst team in all the NFL, which was an absolute blowout, as we mentioned, 26-0. So regardless, for me, the QB spot in Baltimore, you have to remember Houston, they're still coming into Baltimore to play a team who's done nothing but win for years in, years out. And that energy does transcribe itself regardless to who's on the field. And as we mentioned, Cooper Rush, he will be getting the start here for Baltimore. Despite him not being a huge name, this guy can still sling it. Yeah. And he's got Derrick Henry in the backfield. That's also a very strong offensive line to back him up as well. For Houston, I believe this is a regression season for them. I believe they're in that phase. I believe their win last week was accurate. It was needed, yet slightly fluky in my eyes. I just don't think Houston is the same team that we thought they were and who sold us over these past few years. CJ Stroud, he has to prove me wrong this week, because as of this season thus far, I have not been impressed with this kid whatsoever. All I've seen is regression out of him. So in a matchup like this, I'm going with Harborough and the home team here. I believe the Baltimore Ravens get it done. I'm taking the points. I like them here. I'm going with the winning culture here, Tony. So give me the Baltimore Ravens at home. Yeah, Tony?
The entire universe, the entire betting world is kicking Baltimore to the curb this weekend. All of them. Watch the podcast, watch VSiN, listen to sports betting podcasts, ones I respect. They're all in unison. Baltimore sucks. Guess what? Yeah, back against the wall, 7 starters out. Houston's on the right. Houston hasn't done jack shit all year. You beat the worst team in the NFL. Congratulations. That's your first win. You can't block. You don't need the number 1 defense in the NFL to shut down Stroud throwing the football, because their offensive line is terrible.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I'm with you. And if you're not throwing the Ravens in a teaser, you're crazy.
Yeah, that's a strong one, I will say. And I will back that while we're on this topic really quick, Tony. Houston has become one of those teams that the public is kind of sold all over. Take a double look at them. Start watching their games. Watch that offensive line. Watch CJ Stroud in the pocket. Not the same Houston Texans team that we're used to watching. And I think everybody's going to see that on display come this Sunday. But let's get to the best part, Tony. Let's tease them up here. What do we got?
Well, we're gonna go with Detroit Lenny's team, the Detroit Tigers in the playoffs. Now we got the Detroit Lions. So we're doing the double dip for our good buddy Lenny, who's behind the scenes. Detroit is taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the only thing that the Cincinnati Bengals are in this year is in a race with Tennessee to see who sucks worse.
Yeah.
You had 156 yards of offense on Monday Night Football. Think of the money that they spent with their offense with all these skilled players, okay? But yet none of them could be successful without Burrow in the lineup. And he's out. You're not going, and they're turning the ball over. They're not even on the same penalty-ridden. Their defense sucks. If Detroit takes the day off, they still win by a touchdown. Tease them down to 4.5 off that 10.5. Now, this one here may raise a few eyebrows. And I sent this in for the script that just popped up before I knew Mike Evans wasn't going to play. But Seattle is sneaky good.
Sure.
This year. I think they've played maybe a slightly tougher schedule than Tampa. Now, last week, I gave everybody on video Philly for free when the whole world was betting Tampa in that game. But we got Baker Mayfield. We got the better quarterback catching on the tees 9.5. So we're through 3, we're through 6, we're through 7. We're almost on 10. This might go up a little bit with this new Evans, but at days in here, if you got a better quarterback, the one thing that travels well in the NFL, and I've been doing this 35 years, running the football. And Tampa can run the football with White and Irving. They got a good 1-2 punch at running back. They keep them fresh. Seattle's defense, I like their defensive line this year. It's going to be a good test for Tampa, but I think they can keep this within striking distance. And whenever you got Baker Mayfield around, that's backdoor cover out the yin-yang. And when we're getting almost 10, I can't turn it down. Detroit and Tampa Bay, your two-team 6-point teaser here to close out the show. This weekend, we are rolling and rolling hard in the NFL, 8-2 run, banked a 7 uni. I got lucky as it gets with the LA Rams and Matt Stafford throwing an 88-yard touchdown pass with less than 2 minutes left to get the win over the Colts, who got an interesting game this week. A lot of interesting games this week.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we'll take it any way we can get it. We'll take it. Went 2-0 on Monday. I'll have 3, maybe 4 picks, including a teaser in the NFL this week. Could be just one top pick on Sunday, and that might be it for me. And in college football, I've stunk up the joint. I got a 5-play card, all of them 3-unit plays except for 1 6-unit play. 3 of them are totals. I'm taking a different route. Kind of like what Griffin and I did on the show today. What do you got going on this weekend, Griff?
Yeah, Tony. So for last weekend, I'm coming off a 3-1 weekend. I had 4 selections. I swept NFL Sunday going 2-0. I had a 6-unit best bet with Atlanta. And then on Saturday, I went 1-1. I did smack my 7-unit top play with Illinois. They were catching 6.5, so they won that game outright. Went back to my 2-play system on Saturday, which was never broken, and that prevailed. So I'm cashed, obviously. Again, this weekend, Saturday, 7-unit best bet. That goes off at noon. It's part of a 2-play card. And then for NFL Sunday, obviously I swept last weekend, as mentioned. Going into this Sunday, I have 4 plays circled up, not 3, 4. So as of right now, as long as these lines stay stagnant, I will be releasing 4 plays, and all 4 of them are side plays, including a 6-unit best bet at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we're locked and loaded, looking for another winning weekend. 9-4 in the college football season and 15-8 across all of my football with college and NFL combined for up over $2,500 on the season. So we're locked and loaded. We're ready to roll, Tony, and getting ready to release the plays for tomorrow.
There we go, folks. Don't forget about the free $60 right up there. Put it towards any weekend package. We'll give you an extra 10% off. It'll be in the comments section later tonight on Wednesday when this shows up. Once we get it posted, you can take 10% off any package from me and Griff all the way through Monday. If you ever have any problems, just call the 800 number on the website. We actually have real live customer service and not some message system prompt and jumping through 1,000 hoops before you talk to somebody who can't speak the language. No, we got live Americans on the customer service line to help you, not to sell you something, but to help you if you need some help or have some questions. That's why we're old school. That's why I've been around 53 years. Doc Sports, that's where you need to be. Thanks for tuning in.